Now what you're going for on your drop coat is you want this panel to look like velvet or suede.
This video is going to be about how to shoot base coat. I made that video about how to shoot clear. So I figured I probably should have made a video how to shoot base. So I'm going to go over that with you guys today. For your first coat, generally you want to wet coat. Your first two coats are your wet coats. They're for coverage. This is our sealer right now. So we'll give this 2 wet coats. You'll probably hear from some people that going wet is going to cause problems. And in some cases, yes, but as long as you have your panel prepped properly, you have nothing to worry about.
Okay, so that's how your first coat should look. Nice and wet. The whole point of applying it wet on your first coat is to keep the surface smooth. Because, let me take my mask off.
Because without a smooth base, you can't have a smooth clear. Now, if you're new to painting and you're afraid to go wet like this because you're scared you might get runs, there's a technique that I'll show you guys on the next panel. I'll show you over here on the bumper that you can use to kind of get a feel for how wet you can go. So rather than shooting it wet in one shot, basically what you'll do is you'll shoot a medium coat and then you'll come right back and shoot another medium coat. So I'll show you on this section of the bumper. So you can see it's kind of dry. It's not completely dry. It's a medium coat. Now, if you go back and do the same exact thing, now you have your wet coat. So sometimes it's better if you're newer to play it safe. And yes, you're more likely to run into issues if you spray it wet, but you're also guaranteed to get a better finish when you clear if you have a smooth base coat. So this is how you apply your first coat. You can do it in one shot if you're comfortable, or you could break it down into 2 back-to-back coats if you're not so comfortable. I'm gonna get everything else based out with our first coat, and then I'll bring it back for the second coat and show you what we're gonna do. All right, so this is our first coat of base. This is how it looks. It's just about dry. Now, if you're impatient like me, what you can do is if you have a blower attachment, you can blow it off. That'll help expedite the drying process. If you don't have a blower, do not use your gun because your gun will spit and it'll start to make a mess on your panel. It'll throw dirt, it'll throw dry old paint on your panel. You don't want that because that's just gonna slow you down and cause you to run into issues. Now, I wanted to show you guys a technique. Sorry, this air hose is leaking. Give me a second. I wanted to show you guys a technique for if you're unsure if your panel's dry, what you can do, and ready for the next coat. What you can do is go to a inconspicuous area on your panel. For example, here on our fender, we have a section that is going to be covered by a molding. So you go here, you push down with a finger, not too hard, but a decent pressure, and you twist. If the paint doesn't twist with your finger, you know you're ready for the next coat. And one more thing I wanted to mention about the misconception that going wet on your first coat is no good, because it's a common misconception that I've heard a lot. Like I said, you are more likely to run into issues going wet on your first coat, but as long as your panel's prepped properly, like I said, you don't have to worry on that end. The only other area you would have to worry is if the viscosity of your paint is incorrect. If, for example, you over-reduced your paint and you hammer it on, you're going to start to get fish eyes like crazy. So you have to check the viscosity, and there is a tool for checking viscosity. I forget the name of it at the moment, but I mean, if you just Google it, you'll find it. But yeah, viscosity and panel has to be clean, obviously. And you can hammer that first coat on. If you got those two things in line, you got nothing to worry about. All right, here we go, second coat. All right, so again, our second coat's gonna be wet. I call this a 3/4 coat, so it's not gonna be exactly like our first coat. It's gonna be a touch lighter. That's how you want it to look, essentially, on your second coat. Now, aside from going wet on the first, the reason for going wet on the first and second coat, aside from you wanting to have a smooth panel to clear, you also want to optimize your coverage, right? Because if you go too dry, instead of having to do 2 coverage coats, now you're gonna have to do 3 or 4. And you don't want that. Aside from that, you're gonna have a bunch of dry paint piling up. It's gonna make it impossible to get a nice smooth finish on your clear. So that's how you want your second coat to look. It's a little more than a half coat, a little less than a full coat. I'll go ahead and throw my second coat on the rest of these parts, and then I'm going to show you guys a third coat, which is, especially for metallic colors, it's the most important coat, because this is how you match the color of the chips. Obviously, if you're a painter, you know you get your chips, you put it up to your panel with your sunlight, and you check for color. If you look on the manufacturer for whatever paint you're using, they will tell you how those chips are sprayed. So for example, for EnviroBase, it's 2 wet, 1 drop. So if I want that same exact color that's on my chip, I have to spray 2 wet, 1 drop. So this third coat is the most important coat. I'll bring you guys back once these are all dry and we're ready for our third coat. Okay, I did forget to mention, on your second coat, you want to drop the pressure a little bit and move the gun back. That's kind of how you achieve a little bit of a drier finish. Now for our third coat, our drop coat, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn our pressure down a little more, and we're going to move our gun back about another 2 inches. So first coat, spray it how you normally spray a wet coat. Second coat, move the gun back about 1 inch, lower the pressure a touch. Third coat, move the gun back about 2 inches and lower the pressure another touch, you know, maybe another 2 psi. For my base coat, I do everything by ear. The only gun I have a set pressure I use on is my clear gun. That's it. So here we go, third coat.
Now what you're going for in your drop coat is you want this panel to look like velvet or suede when you're done spraying it. And you want to move nice and slow. That's exactly how you want your panel to look after your third and final coat every time. Like butter. Again, this is how your panel should look after your third coat. And this is not dry, this is still wet. I'll show you guys one more time over here. Again, move the gun back, lower the pressure, and on this coat, you go very slow. All right, that's our first coat of clear. I usually give that about 7 minutes, let it flash off. I'll throw one more coat on. One more coat on everything. Matter of fact, here, I'll do the door for you guys too. Hopefully I got enough clear. I don't know. It's gonna be close. Okay, that's our first coat down. Throw one more coat on everything, and then I'll show you guys the finished product.
And here's our finished product, guys. You can see when you got a nice, smooth base coat, it makes it real easy to get a nice, smooth clear coat. You guys got any questions, comments, any advice for me? Anything you think I should do differently? You could leave that down in the comments below. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks so much for the support. It's been mind-blowing, to say the least. Appreciate you all. Have a great day. Till next time.